Hello, everyone. Welcome to GamePoints episode 197, your weekly get together. We talk about recent gaming news. I'm, as always, your host, Stephen Brown. Joining me today is.
I'm David.
Tonight, David, we had to talk about how President of Blizzard J. Allen Brack gave a non-apology, and that's going to be a fun conversation. I can already.
You knew we were going to bring it up.
I am already starting to get pissed off thinking about it.
You'll be fine. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
That said, Diablo 4 does look pretty goddamn good, and Death Stranding reviews are in. We'll be going over those later in the show. But first, I want to remind everyone here watching live at twitch.tv/GamePoints that this is an audience interactive podcast. So feel free to chat in your questions, comments, concerns live here or later at youtube.com/GamePointsPC with whatever comments you might have on the show below, be it topics germane to the conversation or something that we might have missed this week. I'll be more than happy to listen to what you guys have to say. But first, David, before we get into any of that,
yes,
we have just announced that a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct with director Masahiro Sakurai will be on November 6th at 5 a.m. Pacific time. No, I will not be up to watch that. It's going to be roughly 45 minutes of a live stream featuring an in-depth look at upcoming DLC fighter Terry Bogard from the Fatal Fury series, which is honestly the only reason why we're talking about this, because you love Terry Bogard.
To be fair, I appreciate Terry. I don't love Terry Bogard. I know people that love Terry Bogard, but I do love King of Fighters, which is the series that he's from. And
Hold on, King of Fighters or Fatal Fury?
Okay, he is originally from Fatal Fury, and that's what he says on his hat. But King of Fighters is the slightly more known SNK fighting franchise where they took all of their various fighters from different games and put them all together into one giant jam-packed "we're all together." King of Fighters, indirectly, is actually the game that influenced Sakurai to make Super Smash Bros. In the first fucking place, because they took characters from a bunch of different fighting games, so a bunch of franchises, all owned by SNK, threw them all together in a hodgepodge and named it King of Fighters. Sakurai has mentioned multiple times that he actually looks to King of Fighters as his major influence on trying to make Smash Brothers a serious competitive video game.
So this is kind of Smash Brothers coming full circle then in that.
It kind of is, and so that's why all of the Smash fanboys, like, you know, the ones that vote for it for Evo every single year, who got all in a huff of who the fuck is SNK and what's a Terry Bogard and this is just some bullshit pandering, are just stupid assholes, and their tears make me just so satiated, because you dumb motherfuckers don't know that your hero, Sakurai, the guy that makes this game you love so much, is directly influenced by the guy that you're complaining about. And that's just it's great.
Now, normally we wouldn't necessarily be covering a Super Smash Bros. DLC character, but there are a few things unusual about this one. One, the obscurity of the character, which I'm glad you were able to clarify there why he might be here.
See, what's funny is he's not that obscure if you ask any fighting game fan. If you ask the average, like, Madden Call of Duty kid, then yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But anybody that plays fighting games, which I know Smash Brothers is technically a fighting game, but it's got a lot of people that I would call casual gamers that play it, and then a lot of them will get really mad at me that say that, because that's like their hardcore game. But they've never gotten into, you know, traditional fighting games. You would know this.
But also, something that's unusual is its runtime. 45 goddamn minutes for a character reveal.
It's interesting because the game is already fucking out. Now, we had before Smash Brothers released, I think we had a 30 or 40 minute Nintendo Direct covering it. And the fact that this one is longer.
Their normal DLC character reveals run anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes. Like when they did Joker for Persona, for example, I think that was like a 12-minute direct. This is 45, which has, of course...
technically, it is not a direct. It is a live stream. So it's a little different.
It is, and I think they might be touching on some of the things you're talking about his relation with the King of Fighters and Fatal Fury and all that, and how he wanted to make
I'm sure it'll be heartfelt and touching and amazing, like most of the videos that Sakurai released. I think that guy's fucking hilarious, to be fair.
The main thing I want to bring up, though, is that you, of course, have people, whenever a Nintendo Direct does anything, start up the rumor mill of like, oh, they have to announce more. Guys, Nintendo is always very upfront with what they're going to talk about. Yep. Yes, this is 45 minutes, but when they say it is for Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury and Smash Brothers DLC, this is going to be only about that. Do not get your hopes up. Just wanted to say that out the gate because something about Nintendo announcements specifically drives the fans into a frothing fury that they're going to get information like Metroid Prime 4 street date, or we're going to finally get word that Mother 3 is coming. It's like, no, none of that is happening.
Yeah, I don't know. People get really excited.
So just keep that in mind. You have to excuse me if I'm a little bit sniffly, by the way. My allergies are just killing me today.
You would have allergies.
I do. I can't shake it right now. So
I feel great. Let's go. Let's talk about this week in video game related news.
So David, remember how last show I was really excited for the upcoming BlizzCon because people were talking about protesting, and I expect to see Winnie the Pooh cosplay everywhere, and I thought it was going to be a shit show.
Absolutely couldn't wait for what was going to happen at this year's BlizzCon. It was just such a perfect moment, which officially still feel bad for the people that actually work at Blizzard. Not people that make decisions, but the people that actually just work there. But yeah, it was a good time. We're ready for it.
Unfortunately, none of that really happened.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how people will just show up and be excited for video games because most people are just fans of video games in general and not really, protesting injustice.
Really, really upset by that. Now, there were some protests in front of it, sure, but with the news of Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 and the World of Warcraft expansion, all that just kind of blew out any controversy that might have happened, including J. Allen Brack's opening statement. So, the next 10 to 20 minutes or so are going to be devoted to BlizzCon solely, including Brack's non-apology, but as well as looks at Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, a little bit of WoW news. But this is not going to be a comprehensive breakdown of everything at BlizzCon. I'm just kind of a light dusting of everything that kind of happened. These articles I'm going to be referencing come from not only Blizzard's YouTube channels, but also GameIndustry.biz, PC Gamer, and Game Informer. Links will be provided below if you want to look them up later. So, David, let's go ahead and start off with that lame-ass apology that opened up BlizzCon.
Now, it was perfect.
Did you watch this?
I watched it enough to say, I actually made like the snort noise from my nose, and then I just turned it off. Because I realized that they had nothing to say to me.
No. So BlizzCon opens up very, I don't want to say somber, but the president of Blizzard comes out with J. Allen Brack comes out, and he gives this apology, and I use that term in quotes because it really wasn't an apology, and I'm going to tell you why here in a second. Calling the banning of Blitzchung and the esports announcers a, quote, tough Hearthstone esports moment, end quote, right up there along the lines of heated gamer moment, without actually ever mentioning what he was apologizing for.
That's pretty good.
He just said something happened a few weeks back. Okay, say it. Say it, you fucking cowards. Say why people are pissed off at you. But we don't even get into that before he moves on to the rest of his mealy-mouthed statement. Going on to other things. I'm not going to read his entire thing in its entirety. I'm going to take a couple sentences that he made.
We don't really need to because this is pure just, what do we call it, jargony speak?
This is 100% corporate Twitch talk, where you say a lot of words that mean nothing.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything useful, basically.
He goes on to say that we moved too quickly in our decision-making, and then, to make matters worse, we were too slow to talk, all of you. When I think about what I'm most unhappy about, there's really two things. The first one is we didn't live up to the high standards that we set for ourselves. And the second is we failed in our purpose. And for that, I am sorry and I accept accountability. So that was kind of like the big crescendo of his speech right there. However, a couple things. One, moved too quickly in our decision-making. No, you didn't. You moved exactly as fast as you wanted to. You were way quick to get down on your knees and suck that Chinese dick, weren't you there, Jay?
Yeah, and then you had time to make a different decision, because you can't say, "Oh, our decision was too quick." Blah blah blah. Keeping in mind that your decision is still active and at any point can be retconned into another decision that you are fully capable of making and representing a new viewpoint for both yourselves and for your many consumers.
Then he says they were too slow to talk with us. Also bullshit. You released that statement exactly when you wanted to. Late Friday afternoon, after the news cycle ended, hoping no one would notice.
That's, which we obviously brought attention to, because that's why we're on Monday, because we catch all that weird near weekend bullshit that people like to sneak out.
And then, after all of that, he talks about how he accepted accountability and that he was sorry. Well, accountability for what, Brack? Because you didn't even say what you're apologizing for. You did you literally did the South Park BP jackass going, sorry. So sorry. Oh, yeah.
As he rubs his nipples?
That's literally what he did.
Great.
Fuck off.
Totally delightful.
Going on, he said that we will do better going forward, but our actions are going to matter more than any words. As you walk around this weekend, I hope it's clear how committed we are to everyone's right to express themselves in all kinds of ways, in all kinds of places. We've actually seen and heard from many of you expressing yourself this morning. He's referring to the people standing outside protesting China and Hong Kong. But remember, our actions are going to... Now, back to me. That was the end of his quote. Back to me. If their actions are going to matter more than their words, well, their actions speak louder than anything. Because, as you said, those bans are still in place.
Yep. 100%.
He never once mentioned China, Hong Kong, Blitzchung, or anything else. He didn't say 2 words about any of that.
No, he didn't. Because he said exactly what he needed to be safe. To be fair, in his credit, 100% of what he said was probably read to him by their lawyers in, hey, say this exactly and don't say any other fucking thing and then get your ass off the stage.
Yeah. But the kicker is, when he says, I hope it's clear how committed we are to everyone's right to express themselves in all kinds of ways. But then later, in a fucking PC Gamer interview, he says the following. We want the official broadcasts, which are a small percentage of the overall content that gets created, to be about the games. And we want those focused on games. And again, it's not about the content of Blitzchung's message. It's about the fact that it was not around the games. Well, then I guess you don't. I guess there are limits to the places you can express themselves, isn't there?
Yep, 100%.
And don't tell me that I brought this up before, but don't fucking tell me that your ban is based on it being off games. Because if Blitzchung would have said something like trans rights or fuck Trump, it would have gone completely through. If you're going to have this kind of message, then I look forward to when you ban someone for saying one of those things, or Brexit now, or build the wall. I look forward to you banning anyone for anything remotely close to that. Hell.
All right. But they're not going to.
No, let's take a closer look at things. They actually have had... Blizzard has had events celebrating LGBTQ causes. Are those not political? Do those not distract from the games there, J. Allen Brack? At least no more than, say, Freedom does in Hong Kong. And now, I don't want to give the impression that I'm against those causes. Let me say that. I am totally for those ideals. But do you see the point I'm trying to make, David?
Yeah, for sure.
If you're going to commit and double down on this, then goddammit, I'm going to fucking hold you accountable to what you are saying. If this is how it is right now, then I want everything, even remotely political, purged from your stance. I want it all gone. Either it's all okay or none of it is. Because it's the fucking hypocrisy that pisses me off more than anything else. David,
you've been hanging out with Trey Parker and Matt Stone, because I feel like that's been their... line for the last 20 years.
Yeah,
either
and
it's all okay or none of it is.
That's kind of where I stand on it at the end of the day. And it's just so mealy-mouthed and so weaselly and so perfectly fucking timed with the announcement of Diablo 4 right afterwards. And that shit was deliberate.
Okay, to be fair, we knew they had to reveal Diablo 4 and that Diablo 4 was going to be on this docket before any of this shit happened. If you asked us 2 months ago, 90 days ago, 6 months ago, before there was even an inkling of a whisper of a rumor of this kind of weird social media backlash fiasco that Blizzard's managed to pull off, we would have both said 100% Diablo 4 will be announced, revealed, shown at this year's BlizzCon.
By no means am I saying there was some grand conspiracy to reveal everything at this BlizzCon in an attempt to knock out the Hong Kong shit, because BlizzCon was planned 6 months in advance.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone has known this was coming. This is like a worst-kept secret in the industry, because it turns out Blizzard has to be doing something, and I'm assuming it's making games.
But my problem is that Brett comes out, gives us non-apology, doesn't really address any reason why people are pissed off, and then goes, now here are some games, and the internet, as we say, never forgets, but has an attention span of a fucking mayfly, immediately went, ooh, games.
Yeah, because that's what they were there for.
But you know what's more annoying about anything? They forgot
they could be distracted by things they like.
The most annoying thing of it all is though, is that it is okay to both be excited for Diablo 4, because we're about to jump to that topic here in a second. That game looks fucking amazing. I'm all in on what I've seen of Diablo 4 so far, and I'm really looking forward to it, while still simultaneously criticizing the actions of Blizzard, specifically around this apology and the whole Hong Kong thing. It is possible to do both these things at once.
That's funny.
But the internet, being the internet, demands that you have to pick one side or the other.
Yeah, and I'm 100% on the side of fuck Blizzard.
So you have no interest in playing anything else that they do? Okay.
Don't give a shit.
Fair enough. Well, let's go ahead.
But in my defense, I've been out of Blizzard for a while.
This goes into that category, though, of how I can kind of separate the art from the artist kind of thing. Like, I like Roman Polanski's movies, but I fucking hate Roman Polanski.
We shouldn't be punishing the devs for the actions of corporate, and I 100% agree with that. But the actions of Blizzard as an entity haven't really been that exciting for me.
Yes, and let's say you were big into Diablo, though. Would you still play it when it came out? Let's say this was...
If I was a hardcore Diablo fan, then I probably would.
Let's say this was Psionics.
Because I still, as an example, I still read Orson Scott Card books, and I think that guy in real life is an actual crazy person.
Yeah.
I still watch Tom Cruise movies, and I think that guy in real life is an actual crazy person. So I can separate art from artist for a lot of reasons. I'm just not 100% already sold on existing Blizzard properties.
And this is enough to push you away.
Over the hurdle. I'm just like, I wasn't that excited in the first place, and this is just a little more of, I don't need it.
Understandable. Fair enough. That's fine.
It looks fine.
That's a reasonable... That's a reasonable answer.
Yeah.
So, anytime I mention Blizzard that I can think of, at least for the next foreseeable future, I want to mention this fucking non-apology Jailbreak, and then we'll get into what the rest of it is. Because I think
have to
that's
just keep bringing it up
fine.
Until they have some kind of different stance.
Yeah.
Or they just come out and say, yeah, turns out we get money from China.
Because remember, boycotts don't really work. They just don't. No matter what you're doing it on.
The problem is that boycotts could potentially work, but no boycott can actually maintain enough momentum to be successful, because most boycotts will be foiled by the 90% who just literally don't give a shit.
And in theory, it sounds good. In practice, it's not going to happen.
100% could work if every single fan went, hey, guess what, guys? Until you reverse your stance, no one buys Diablo 4. And that game comes out to a whimper.
Right.
That might cause them to take notice, but there's no way in hell that's going to happen. This game's going to sell gangbusters because it starts with the word Diablo and it ends with a number higher than 3.
And we need to be practical here at GamePoints. We can't just not talk about any of this stuff because fuck Blizzard.
I mean, we technically could, but you put it in the notes, so.
And the notes are law.
The notes are law.
Moving
on. Controlled by the notes of GamePoints.
Moving on, we are going to talk about a lot of the quick hits that happened at Blizzard. I'm not going to get too in-depth in them. Once again, like I said, you can find that information elsewhere. But
there's 3 fucking things that happened. We can bust through them real quick. Let's go.
So, first, Diablo 4. While we're here, let's go ahead and get into it. That 10-minute cinematic trailer looked fucking amazing. I wish Blizzard would actually do a goddamn movie based on the Diablo universe.
What's funny is I would be more interested in any Blizzard-based cinematic featurette than I would in actual games. I've enjoyed watching all the Overwatch cinematics far more than I ever enjoyed playing that video game.
I agree. I'm in the same boat. They are definitely going away from the art star shift that happened in Diablo 3. Remember how everyone was kind of bitching about how they kind of chiled it up? Well, it definitely looks dark and grim like Diablo 2 did. The big bad of this game seems to be Lilith. She is the daughter of Mephisto. Lilith is a key figure in the Diablo mythology. It was her and an angel that fell in love and created essentially the Nephilim, and they created the world that you fight in together. So Lilith is big in the cosmology of Diablo. 3 classes shown so far: Sorceress, Barbarian, and Druid. Expect more to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see Necromancer or Paladin show up in there, but we could also see some surprises. And from what I heard, that this game is nowhere near release, which means don't even expect it before 2022, if you would ask me.
I don't expect any of these things to be coming out anytime soon. The only exception to that being WoW expansions.
Yeah, and they straight up said that.
Because they have to come out every 18 months or everyone leaves.
Yeah. While on the topic of WoW expansions, World of Warcraft Shadowlands was announced. Also an amazing trailer showing Sylvanas fighting the Lich King. First time we've seen anything substantial from the Lich King since the Wrath of the Lich King expansion back Oh, Jesus. Like,
2012?
That was like the 3rd expansion, so it's been a while.
Oh, shit. Maybe earlier.
Yeah. There's going to be a new level cap of 60, which sounds like a level squish, because right now I think it's 130, so they're kind of cramping everything down. For what I'm told, they're going to make it to where you can level up in any of the expansions. You just choose what expansion time period you want to play around in, and it kind of teleports you to that time period, I believe. That's just my loose understanding of what's going on. I kind of like that, though. It's a way to let you access the old content without having the old content be like a drag.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Or a joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually still interesting.
Yeah, it's like, why do I bother going to Outland? That shit was 10 years ago. I could skip right at the max level cap of that. Well, if you want to play Burning Crusade... what was the first expansion? Burning Crusade?
I have no reason to know that information.
Okay, fair enough. That's just what I've heard. I don't know that official. I didn't dig too deep into it. They're going to go into the Land of the Dead. It's a bunch of new zones that you can explore. It's going to have big themes. You're essentially parading around in the afterlife. Sounds cool. They have a new zone called Torghast Tower of the Damned. That's going to be a roguelike, always changing experience because everyone has to cash in on that roguelike money, but could be interesting. And the final boss of this expansion is going to be simply known as the Jailer. And we know nothing about him. As we just hear chains in the background. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
His jailing chains going down there in the background.
That's how he does it. He's real spooky.
So that is the overview of Shadowlands. And then the last game I want to talk about, because it actually turns out to counteract everything we were predicting last week's show, which is Overwatch 2. And for the good. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we were 100% negative going in on this game.
Yeah.
We had nothing positive to say about even the potential of a release of a sequel to Overwatch. So we had nothing but optimism going forward, right? Any news would be good news based on what we had assumed we would get. I
guess. So it turns out, and like I said, every statement Blizzard made about Overwatch 2, by the way, directly counters what we predicted. So it's kind of funny. First off, it will be cross-compatible with the original version of the game. So
doesn't make any sense to me. Don't know how that works. So let's go.
Overwatch 1 and 2 players will be able to play with each other.
That's cool. Like, imagine if a service game, like imagine if Breakpoint, right, the new Ghost Recon game, came out and it was cross-compatible with the original, like with the other fucking Tom Clancy game.
That's because I think we're looking at Overwatch 2 as a sequel. In reality, it's just an expansion.
It's just an expansion that they're probably going to charge a lot of money for.
Right. Jeff Kaplan, who is one of the guys working on the game, said that this means players who currently have Overwatch will be able to transfer all of their cosmetic earnings,
all of them, guys. We're so surprised.
And so forth to the sequel. Additionally, Overwatch remains supported even after a sequel launches, and players in Overwatch will be able to queue into multiplayer as Overwatch 2 in the same maps using the same characters available for Overwatch. So what does that mean what Overwatch 2 is?
Weird. Yeah, what is it? Why would you have a video game that comes out that's just the other video game?
It's new animation models.
Yep.
Story mode, other PvE modes, and new game types rather than like
So I'm assuming there will be specifically modes that you can queue into in Overwatch 2 that you cannot queue into in Overwatch 1, but the major players, like the pro play level games, will be the same. In addition to having new 3D models, new character designs, new rigging, I'm assuming they're going to run it. If I don't remember if Overwatch is 32-bit, but I'm assuming it'd be 64-bit. If nothing else, it'd be DirectX 12 or something newer than what the original game was. Just to clean it up, probably a higher frame rate, a little bit better, and then you get all this extra modes and bullshit that you don't have in the first game.
But my concern there is, we're not concerned. Something that's confused me is that they also later said that all new PvP content in Overwatch 2 can be played in Overwatch 1.
Now, the PvP, player versus player content, can be played in Overwatch 1. So any new multiplayer matches, new multiplayer modes, new versus type content will be backwards compatible, per se, with the first game. But all of the story stuff and the PvE stuff and the brinkiness of it all that a lot of people have been looking forward to will be exclusive to the second game. Which, it is another game, technically, and they have to be able to charge for fucking something.
I'd be curious to know how much story is actually here to justify another $60, though.
And that leads me to my biggest question. How much do you think this game is going to cost? Because
60.
Overwatch has always been my bugaboo game regarding microtransactions. I think it's the one that we bring up every single time we have that discussion about this game's got loot boxes, this game's got game mechanics, and Overwatch has always bothered me because it's a full price fucking video game. Now, I'm aware of the fact for most of its life you could buy it for $40 instead of $60, but hey, guess what? $40 is still a full game.
Yeah, you're still paying up front.
I could buy Remnant from the Ashes for less than $40 and get a lot of shit out of it, and they're not trying to nickel and dime me with character skins and extra bullshit.
A game that's really fun to play, and we should finish one day, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic. Love it.
So yeah, that is kind of a general overview of everything that happened at BlizzCon. I just want to mention the 3 big games coming out. Yes, there was some
I love the fact that BlizzCon is this big, giant yearly show, and we can sum it all up with new Diablo, new Overwatch, new WoW expansion, which is different from previous years in that we said more than new WoW expansion. Like, that's it. There's new Hearthstone shit, because of course there is, but it's just... It's Blizzard. They've got 5 video games.
Couple final tidbits before we wrap up the BlizzCon touch. 1, there is new Hearthstone stuff coming up. 2,
yep.
I don't remember Diablo Immortal getting mentioned at all during any of the big shows.
They learned their lesson. Why the fuck would they talk about it? They're just going to release that game at some point, and anybody that wants to play it's already going to play it. Which is funny, because we can go back to the fact that when we had this first discussion about Diablo Immortal, if it wasn't for the exception of the way it was revealed and the kind of general demeanor of the revealers, I was actually of the opinion that I might enjoy Diablo.
They revealed it like they revealed it like it was a massive keynote game in a year that nothing else was being announced.
Yes, and that was a wrong decision. Yes.
Also,
what's funny is with how much of Diablo 4 they showed off, they absolutely could have just had a goddamn splash screen that said D4 and ended the show with it.
And I think they even said they wish they did that.
People would have gone insane. Yeah. Even after Diablo Immortal, they could have been like, Diablo Immortal, and blah, 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 and here's the stuff. We're going to have this big breakdown, and oh, by the way, we've got one more thing for you. And then the whole room goes dark, and then you just see the fucking devil head logo show up, and then a big number 4, and then the whole room turns black, and everyone would have gone insane.
Diablo Immortal wouldn't have been the big deal that it was.
Nope.
One final thing is that it seems, sadly, that my beloved StarCraft has been relegated to the dumpster bin along Heroes of the Storm as the games that Blizzard just does not care about anymore.
Don't know about that because Heroes of the Storm still gets updates.
Yeah, now, StarCraft 2 still gets updates too, but they have pulled massive resources away from both those games.
That is true. Heroes of the Storm no longer has a sponsored Blizzard-based tournament, but it actually still gets regular content updates, patches. It's got an event going on right now. StarCraft, on the other hand, gets fuck all besides bug fixes.
They have a new co-op commander coming, but yeah, those franchises are done.
Of the 2 games, StarCraft is in a far worse place, which is the more upsetting of the 2.
David, speaking of potentially more upsetting, I don't know. I have deliberately not asked you about this upcoming topic because I wanted to hear your opinions fresh firsthand today. So this is all going to be news to me, but I want you to lead this topic here. Death Stranding reviews are in, and it is scattershot all over the place. Now, let me set the table a little bit before I let you unleash on what you feel.
All right.
A whole bunch of reviews came in. It's averaging right now Metacritic on 85. But the reviews are in there from like 100, perfect game, game of the year, oh my god, this is the most glorious thing I've ever played. All the way down,
in the decade.
Yeah, all the way down to 35. It's terrible, boring. This is what happens when you let Kojima beat off to infinite amounts of money, and this is the worst, most boring fucking thing I've ever played. It is a blunderbuss of review scores. I've never seen a game so wildly divisive.
I think we may have seen games that are as spread as this, but the big thing is we've never seen a AAA, fully backed, all the goddamn money in the world game released to these kinds of reviews. It's insane.
And it's not just the big sites that are all grouped together either. For example, GameStop gave it a 9, but Game Informer gave it a 7, and IGN gave it a 6.8. Normally, these sites tend to congeal around a 0.5 variance.
Yep.
Not this time. So, David,
Yep.
I have a bunch of quotes pulled from various reviews all over the internet. I'm not going to read them all, but they all say either one of two things. One, they all always will say, not always, but a lot of them seem to say, this is a work of art, specifically. And
yes.
two, even positive reviews will say, this game is not always fun as you're playing it. Now, that we have set the table to what the reviews say and how scattershot they are everywhere, you being the bigger Kojima fan, arguably, what do you think? I turn the floor over to you.
I am still, at this very moment, so fucking upset that everyone has to talk about Death Stranding, and I swear I would give everything to go back 6 months and get the opportunity to play this game completely fresh without all the extra fucking trailers, without Conan goddamn fucking bullshit O'Brien, without every single one of these reviews being all over the goddamn stars, and just figured it on my own. Because now, at this point in the game, where we are right now, it is actually impossible for me to play this game without some amount of bias. I either have to go into it knowing that I'm fully intending on sucking Kojima's dick and loving this game because I have to love this game because I'm a goddamn fanboy and I gotta fall in line and I gotta be with all the hundreds and fucking video games are art and this is blah. Or I just have to be a video gamer and go into it and say, this is everything I was horrified it would be ever since the third gameplay trailer when I heard the baby crying and I was like, that sound is going to come out of the goddamn controller and it's Yoshi's Island 2 all fucking over again. And from what I've read, it absolutely fucking is. And that baby legitimately cries. I read a fucking review where a guy's like, I put my baby to bed, like my actual human baby to bed. And I was like, I'm going to go relax on the couch and play some Death Stranding. And then the baby started crying at me and I turned the fucking game off. And that makes me never want to play this game in my fucking life. But I'm such a dumbass that I'm still going to show up day goddamn one because I have to fucking know for myself.
So when this game goes live...
It could be the worst game in the world, but I still have to know. And the worst thing, I keep reading, it's once you get past the first 10 hours, there's enjoyment there. Dude, 10 hours for a busy-ass adult like myself is how long I have to give to most video games. Unless you're trying to make your space on my like continual, constantly played, like multiplayer, pick it up for an hour now and then kind of game. I don't have 10 hours for your dumb ass. I especially don't have 40 hours for what I thought was going to be an action game. The final cutscene's already been revealed to be at least 2 hours long. It's Kojima once again proving that he wants to be a movie director more than he wants anything else.
And every single person let me pause you real quick while on that topic.
Anybody he's ever been friends with in Hollywood.
Did you hear that Kojima has straight up said his next project is just going to be movies from now on?
Yeah, 100%. Which makes sense. Because that's what you get. And the biggest, most boldest, most fucking frustrating thing I've seen on the internet, probably in the last several years, is that Konami is a necessary evil to balance out a Kojima Unchained. And I'm honest to God worried that I'm going to play this video game and I'm going to agree.
So
that we actually needed the bullshit, dumbass, corporate bold numbers reading dumbasses from Konami who would say, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. To keep this man in check. So, keeping in mind that I got a Kojima-related tattoo 3.5 weeks ago. True story.
One thing I noticed from all these quotes, besides the things I said earlier, is that it's all about Kojima's cult of personality. Listen to a few bit choices I have here.
Dude, he should be in a Psychedelic Furs cover band.
From We Got This Covered, like any genre-pushing work of art. From US Gamer, might be the most Kojima's boldest game to date, but also might be his most tedious. From Shack News, I wish Hideo Kojima had created a lengthy film series instead of a video game. From Screen Rant, most important game of this decade. From
Next Gen, Death Stranding is a weird game.
From Metro Game Central, Death Stranding is peak Hideo Kojima.
See,
a work of art.
What's absurd is the statement Death Stranding is peak Hideo Kojima. If that was the only review that I'd read, I would buy this in a goddamn heartbeat.
Every review has to mention Kojima's cult of personality about how he is this.
Because this game is more about Kojima than it is about anything else.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
You either like Kojima or you don't, and that's really all there is.
This game has gone beyond just a game, and I don't mean that in the whole, it's a sense of art style. I mean, this game is now everything that repudiates Konami wrapped up into this game. If this game flops, then Konami must have been right. And so many people have so much wrapped up into this. And you have the people on one side saying video games are art, and this must be art because we put so much effort into making this art that it must be art. And then you have the other people who are like, I just want a game to be a game, man.
Meanwhile, in actual art, because modern art's the worst fucking thing in our goddamn culture, one time somebody knocked over a garbage can and there was garbage on the floor and nobody bothered to clean it up because they thought it was a fucking display. That is a true goddamn story.
Shit like that does happen.
But here's the thing. When they start with, this is peak Hideo Kojima, and I'm thinking back to like fucking Police Knots and Boktai and Metal Gear and all this other bullshit, I'm like, I feel like I can get behind that. But was Konami necessary? And the only thing we really know for sure is, regardless of whether or not this game sells gangbusters or it's a complete flop, this game will continue to be in the gaming lexicon for the next 20 years.
It is so...
Because it has to be. Because this game is either going to be huge, it's going to find a cult following, and those people are going to play it forever, or it's going to be the actual death of Kojima as a game developer, and he's going to transition into film and cinema. And regardless of those three outcomes, that means this game is at a pivotal moment in Kojima's career that it will remain in the conversation forever.
Yeah, I agree there.
And there's nothing me or you can, like, if we play this game and you hate it and I love it, or weirdly enough, vice versa, it won't have any effect on that.
The conversation around this game has gone beyond the game itself, and that really is upsetting to me because I just want to know about the game.
What's funny is the conversation is so ridiculous that I still want to play it.
I wouldn't mind that if the conversation still tied to the game, and you would have two separate conversations: Death Stranding as a game, and then Death Stranding's cultural impact. But that's not what happened. What happened is one overtook the other completely.
This is a game that is a cultural impact.
No, fuck that.
That's so funny. Anyway,
I'm still
this game
picking this up the day it comes out on Friday.
I'm 100% going to play it, but here's the shitty part. I'm not even in town on Friday, man. I don't get to play this game until Sunday.
Well, it might come out Thursday night.
I won't have I'm going to be out of state. I won't have impressions on this game until Sunday.
Okay, fair enough. We'll be talking about it Monday more than likely, because God forbid we do anything else but talk about this fucking game. I will say this, David.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so excited to finally stop talking about this game, unless this is truly the greatest game of a decade, like some people have claimed. Now, I want to be clear. David and I have not played this game at all. I have deliberately been trying to avoid everything I can.
It's just fucking review embargoes come up. But here's the craziest thing, right? Because we've had this discussion for the longest time that games that have been releasing in the last few years, 3 or 4 specifically, if they are bad, if they're launching to no fanfare, if they're going to be trash, there's always a crazy review embargo, and no one gets to fucking see or talk about the game or have any experience with it until basically the day of actual release, so they could hopefully influence sales based on pre-release hype.
Yeah, this was a week in advance.
This gets reviews a full week in advance. These people have been playing it for a month. They've had plenty of time to get really deep into this game. And the fact that the reviews are so all over the place are really interesting to me. Because maybe a bunch of us are suckers. Maybe people just love Kojima. Or maybe he just only speaks to a certain subset of people that like to play video games.
You know what I think is going to happen?
Anything is possible.
I think that this game is going to get a lot of people who played Metal Gear Solid going, oh my god, this is the next Metal Gear Solid. I'm all in on it. And what's going to happen is that group of players is going to get split in half. You're going to have half of them go, holy shit, what the fuck is this? This is horrible. Because you're not really doing anything, it sounds like. And then you're going to have the other half who are going to claim for years, this is the greatest fucking thing of all time. And it
literally is FedEx Delivery Guyver Apocalypse Edition.
And you know the scary thing is, I can easily see myself fall into that category.
Of loving it and thinking it's the best goddamn game ever?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really worried that I'm going to, because that kind of person is annoying as hell.
And that's why I said it'd be funny if you got hyper into this game, because personality-wise, you would be the one more likely to bounce off of it. And since I'm such a huge Kojima fan, I'm the one more likely to get sucked into it. But the fact it's very real that I'll get in, I'll see Conan and Brian's dumb fucking face, and I'll say, this game is actual garbage, and I'll request a refund from Sony. And then you're like, dude, this game's amazing. You just got to get into it for the next 23 hours. And then all of a sudden there's this cutscene and it blows your goddamn mind. And oh my God, this game's got so much shit to say about the state of the world. And I don't even know what to do about it. And you have to know about this game. Who knows?
Just everything about this, about people talking about it. And this is just a knee-jerk reaction. Sounds like that kid that showed up with a book report in grade school, but you could tell he didn't read the book, but he's really good at bullshitting.
Yeah.
That's what this sounds like to me.
I am that kid. I'm the guy that doesn't know how to read a goddamn textbook, but I will ace every test.
That's what a lot of these reviews kind of sound to me. Now, admittedly, that is completely unfair. I haven't played the game. I can't. But it has that. There are so many similar words being used and so many points that keep touching on that. I got to kind of go, Did you read the Cliff Notes and then said this? But that's just a personal, like I said, that's completely unfair of me. But it's just something that in the back of my head I keep thinking of. Anyways, either way, I will say this. I am actually looking forward to getting a hold of this game because it strikes me as something that I just have to experience.
No, the ridiculous part to me is that we know about the PC release, and I mean, I really wish the PC release was this week. I honestly do, because more than anything else, if this game's great, if this game's horrible, it doesn't really matter, because the fact that it's coming out on PC means it has the potential to be the greatest game in the world. Because a lot of the reviews is that it's a huge open world adventure style game where you can kind of just wander around and make your own fun. And those games are perfect for the modding scene, which exists almost solely on PC and never on console.
Right.
But to remain in the lexicon, to stay as a fucking guy on a goddamn video game talk show, I still have to play it this week. But I don't think I'm going to buy it twice. So it's upsetting to me that I'm going to have to try and play this game and be excited for it and then wait for it to be on sale in 3 years and then try and play it again.
Well,
you know
good news, David. The way the review sounds, it's either going to be something that you're going to go, there's no way in hell I'm playing that again, so why would I spend money on it? Or it's going to be something that, like, you say,
changes
Jesus
my
Christ,
life.
changes your life. You would gladly play twice as much for it. So there's not going to be any in between from what it sounds like.
Yep.
David, got a whole bunch of small tidbits coming up. So why don't I run through the next three? You take this last one dealing with our favorite punching bag, and then we'll get into new releases. Sound good?
Sounds good. I have a little addendum post the other thing you're going to give me, but that's okay. Well, let's go. I can make it quick.
Okay. So first of all, Gio Corsi leaves PlayStation. Gio Corsi was the senior director at PlayStation. He's yet another high-profile name leaving the company this year. He joins the ranks of...
what's going on over at the Sony franchise?
No idea. He joins the ranks of Sean Layden and John Drake. Both left Sony in the year before the PlayStation 4 launches, which makes me wonder what the fuck is going on there, like you were saying. Now, these people could just be like, hey, I want to retire or leave. Like John Drake, for example, ended up going to Disney. Okay. Yeah. That's a upward career move. I get that. Mm-hmm. But as far as I know, Sean Layden and Gio Corsi haven't announced what they're doing yet. One, it makes me wonder if they're doing something together. Two, and this is total speculation, I think that this is the fallout of an eternal power struggle that was happening between them and Jim Ryan, and Jim Ryan won.
It's entirely possible. We have no way to know.
No, but it's just... when you see big names leaving the prep year before the launch of a new console, makes you wonder if something happened behind the scenes. But I just wanted to mention that. Once again, quick story. Another quick story. Bioware is trying to make December 4th into a thing. So you know how Bioware has N7 Day, which is November 7th for their Mass Effect thing?
Nope.
Okay, well, they do. Bioware has this thing on November 7th. They call it N7 Day for Mass Effect.
I'm just fucking with you. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, fair enough. And they really don't do anything for it, but they try to make it this fake holiday.
I was describing on how little impact that has in my life.
Exactly. That it has little impact in even Mass Effect fans' life for the past few years.
Yeah.
They're calling December 4th Dragon Age Days, but with that Leet Speak 4 in the age, kind of teasing that, hey, there might be Dragon Age news. So here's a couple of things about that. One, temper your expectations about Dragon Age 4 in general, because remember the last 2 fucking games Bioware has made. Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda. Bioware is now officially a company that falls into the wait a week after the game is released to buy category for me, which I never thought would be possible.
Excuse me.
Bless you. 2, we have seen N7 Day. It's nothing. It is never anything. It is absolute garbage, a fake holiday Bioware tries to keep making that they might show some concept art or might have an interview with a voice actor from the game. So expect that level of bullshit. 3, even if they are planning on releasing a teaser or trailer for Dragon Age 4 sometime soon, it would not be
stay tuned for a teaser for a potential reveal.
It would not be on December 4th because December 4th is a week away from the Game Awards.
Also, I'm going to go ahead and say 4 or 5, whatever the fuck number you're on. They're not going to talk anything about a new Dragon Age because they're trying to stay alive on fucking life support because Anthem is such a goddamn joke that at any moment EA is ready to shut that goddamn studio down. So I actually don't expect any news at all. They're literally just trying to gain some brand raises.
They are not going to show anything. I don't know if they're necessarily on life support right now, but the tone at Bioware has to be... We have to nail this shit.
Until Anthem is either turned around into a positive feedback loop or they have the entire fucking Dragon Age 4 done, ready to go, working on Frostbite, because you know that's the only fucking thing they're allowed to use, they're not going to say shit about
that. I agree with to a degree, because every single step of press around Dragon Age 4 must be carried out and executed perfectly.
Yep.
BioWare's existence is dependent on it, and they're not going to release the trailer for Dragon Age 4 or some new thing on Dragon Age 4 just on some random December 4th. They will save that shit for the Game Awards, and the reason why I say the Game Awards is because that's the same thing that Mass Effect 3 was revealed at as well, when they had that fucking amazing trailer with the guy hiding up in Big Ben sniping husks running out. So they already have that relationship in place. Last bit of quick news. There's new Outlast stuff coming. If you look at Red Barrels with Barrels of Outlast, that's that horror game when you usually have like the camcorder being chased by horrible spooky shit. Expect something like that coming soon. We know nothing more than a teaser of a teaser of a teaser picture. And you know how much we love those. David, that brings us to the last news story.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Involves our favorite punching bag, baby.
The world's greatest story. The only thing that has actually managed to out Anthem. It not only came out first, it stayed in the news last because it is so fucking broken. So much of a goddamn train wreck. It's actually managed to make a class system among its own fucking player base. And I am, of course, talking about Fallout 76.
It is truly a work that into itself has created a genre.
And ZeniMax, those
the parent
diabolical
company.
I was going to say diabolical dick shrinking motherfuckers that worked on helping get Fallout 76 out the doors, have actually they're going to start refunding customers for how bad Fallout 76 is.
In Australia only, however, is the catch.
Correct. This is in Australia. The ACCC, which is the Australian Consumer something,
Australian Competition and Consumer Commission.
Close enough, has accepted a court-enforceable undertaking from 3 related video gaming companies after they acknowledged they were likely to have misled consumers about their consumer guarantee rights in relation to the online action game Fallout 76. That is a whole lot of lexicon legal speak for the fact that our game is fucking broke and we potentially lied to people, which means that we have to give them their money back because you can't sell falsified goods.
Right. ZeniMax, go ahead.
The companies ZeniMax Media Incorporated, ZeniMax Europe Limited, and ZeniMax Australia together.
I think
ZeniMax,
that's Party Limited, PTY. I'm not positive.
Probably. Accepted that their actions were likely to contravene the Australian Consumer Law, or ACL. In a quote, ZeniMax has acknowledged that they are likely to have misled certain Australian consumers about their rights to a refund when they experienced faults with their Fallout 76 game, ACC Commissioner Sarah Court said.
It could either mean party or proprietary.
It's one of the two. All we know really is that this game is so goddamn broken that the Australian Court of Law stepped in and said, by the way, you owe these people their fucking money back because you actually misled on a good or service.
And thank fucking Christ. Because remember we were going on this rant recently about how for some reason software has this mystical magical protection that we can't fucking get a refund if it's broken for.
Law has never managed to catch up with the information age. It just hasn't. But Australia apparently has been paying enough attention to say, hey, guess what? This is still a good end or service, and you sold people a lemon.
Hey, like, fucking a broken clock's right twice a day.
This is almost a lemon law. Anyway, ZeniMax will offer to provide refunds to consumers who contacted them between 24th November 2018 and the 1st of June 2019 to request a refund and have not already received one. Consumers who accept a refund will no longer be entitled to access and play the game. Keeping in mind that this is not continuing upon going forward to this ruling. It had to have been between November and June. Right. So if you didn't already request a refund and you don't live in Australia, you're screwed.
I imagine the accounts would say anything after June, you should have already known better.
Basically. If you're still holding onto the game after June, then what are you even doing?
More importantly, however, is that the ACC commissioner straight up said ZeniMax has acknowledged they are likely to have misled certain Australian consumers about their rights to a refund when they express their faults.
How little fault. Like, it admits fault, 100%. That is a fault-admitting statement.
ZeniMax goes, yes, we misled them.
We are likely to have misled certain Australian consumers about their right to a refund. It's very specific.
Yeah.
Not everywhere.
Still a company essentially in open court admitting fault. Yeah, this is bad. So why is this important? Because while you're not really going to see anything on the U.S. side of things,
no, we don't give a shit.
European courts might go, well, there was an Australian ruling that said this. And it could charge
now's the time to shine.
Like a chain reaction of shit going down there.
100%. Definitely.
And you're not going to find someone... I tend to be pretty pro, like, capitalism, but I am anti-corporate. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Because my stance on corporations is like, fuck you, give me mine. And I hate this weird bullshit they pull where they're essentially selling you a 6 for a 9 for the most part. And I'm glad, especially when it comes to software, and I'm glad to see more and more courts step in and go, no. This violates existing law. I'm not asking for new laws. Because if there's something I'm more anti than corporate, it's government. I'm not asking for new laws. I am asking for the enforcement of the shit already in the books. And we already have in laws about bait and switch and whether you can return shit if it's broken or not. Or like you said, lemon laws when it comes to cars.
Yep.
Enforce that shit. That's all I ask. So get fucked, ZeniMax. And I hope this spreads. And I hope you learn your goddamn lesson when it comes to this shit. David?
Yes.
The fallout to this could stretch for weeks, months, and years.
One little tidbit.
Okay.
A tidbit.
Okay.
This is something that I don't want to acknowledge in the sense that I have no intention of posting a link to this.
Okay.
But I felt it necessary to mention that Polygon this week released their top 100 games of this decade.
That's bad. It's a bad list.
And it is so fucking garbage. And I can go into it, and obviously lists are subjective and blah, blah, blah. People can have their own feelings and opinions. And there's so many good games that are left off of that list. But the only thing I wanted to bring up is the fact that their number one game, Minecraft, which I can say, arguably, is a very influential game and did a lot on gamer culture and impact, came out in 2009, you dumb fucking shits.
Technically within technically within 10 years. Did they say 10 years or they say this decade or they say in a decade?
Games of the decade. And I inferred that to mean games from 2010 to 2020, which closes out within a month.
Okay. That list is bad and they should feel bad. But hey, anyway, that's their opinion.
I just wanted to bring up how bad
I'm not going to say they can't have that opinion of their games. However, Polygon has a reputation. There's a reason why I rarely use them as a source.
Dude, they put Kentucky Route Zero at number 4.
I was going to say, if you look at that list, it's very much a list that you would expect from people who write at Polygon.
Dude, they put the fucking Kim Kardashian mobile game on the list, but they didn't put fucking Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, Smash Brothers, Dragon Age Inquisition. Fucking, there's so many games they left off, but Kim K's game made it.
So, hey, like I said, They are entitled to their right. That is their top 100 list.
I was annoyed enough about it that I wanted to bring it up.
But I think that list because I know the list you're talking about. I think that list shows just how out of touch that site is for your mainstream gamer. And one thing, David.
Yes.
This entire rant is based off of bogus information because Minecraft came out of early release November 18th, 2011.
It came out in 2009. Because if I can buy your game, it's out. Thus says the rules of GamePoints. And that motherfucker came out in 2009. So check and or mate, my good friend.
Just saying.
Because Minecraft was never free.
They could potentially fuck you on a technicality.
That's
and as
okay,
we know,
because
technically correct is the best kind of correct.
Except for we are beating them in a technicality, because technically if I can pay for it, it's a goddamn consumer product.
All right.
And if I can pay for it, it has been released.
David, it's going to be at least...
I'm gonna clap right back on that one. I ain't going to let that shit go.
David, it's going to be at least another 10 years before we get to mock Polygon's 100 list again.
That's true.
That's a long time before I could talk about how out of touch that site is. And admittedly, though, I have met a couple people from Polygon. I have talked to them face to face. They are nice people if you talk to them face to face, but they have...
Ben's all right.
They're out... That's the one that
I know that's a bugaboo for you.
I don't want to sling shit, but that is the one that I have actually personally met and
I specifically
bumped up against hard.
All good.
That said, between now and 10 years from now, what could I play before I can start mocking them again?
Let's talk about Just Dance 2020. Because that game comes out this week. Let's talk about the importance of Just Dance. Because this game comes out on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and the Nintendo Wii.
And does really fucking good on the Wii, too.
This has nothing to do with the fact that Just Dance is a continuing series that has been coming out since like 2009. Like a pretty long-running game franchise about just dancing. This is one of the last remaining Wii releases, and I always love to bring this up because I feel it's important. The Wii still sells well and is in use all over the place in retirement communities.
It sells well for a console that's dead, like 2 generations dead.
Yeah, and the Just Dance games help get older people out of their chairs and up and about. And I think that's fucking awesome. So
I do too.
Actually, while I have no interest in playing a Just Dance title, I'm 100% for their continued release.
You will never see me actively mock Just Dance. I respect it for what it is.
Yep. Also coming out this week, Valfaris comes out for PS4. This is a 2D side-scrolling platformer action, kind of heavy metal.
Game looks amazing. This is from the same people that did Slain, if you remember Slain.
Yes. 2D action platformer. Next game from the team behind Unity Awards finalist Slain Back from Hell, because that game was built in Unity. I believe this game was as well. Hardcore combat, deadly enemies, pixel art, fucking awesome soundtrack. This game actually does look really fun. Also up this week, Garfield Kart Furious Racing for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. We have to talk about the greatness that is Garfield Kart.
You were teasing something to me about this earlier.
Garfield Kart came out quite a long time ago, and seriously, it's Garfield. It's a kart racing game that's got all the Garfield characters you expect. John's in it, Odie's in it, whoever the fuck else is in Garfield's in it. And for a little while, it was 99 cents on Steam, and became this kind of like streamer game. Shit tons of people played it because it was so fucking cheap, and it turns out it's decently competent. But the most important thing about this game, about the new one, Garfield Kart Furious Racing, if you have a moment, please do yourself a favor and look at the fucking Steam tags for this video game. I'm going to read off a little highlight list for you, because they are the greatest list of Steam tags in the history of fucking video games.
Okay.
Masterpiece, cult classic, and War 1, survival horror, god game, epic, story-rich, battle royale, mature memes, great soundtrack. Nothing in like the top 10 Steam tags on this game say kart racer.
Okay.
It is fucking amazing, because the internet collectively loves Garfield Kart. And as a member of the
internet, did not know this was a thing.
I have to as well. So good on you guys. I'm glad you guys got another game out under your belts.
Yeah, I didn't know this was actually a thing. That's kind of hilarious.
It's so fucking funny. Anyway, also coming out this week, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 comes out on Switch. It's God, how many Mario and Sonic at the Olympic games have we had this?
I played
so
a couple
far?
of. I played a couple of a
Much
small
like
little bit of this. It's not bad.
Much like a Mario Party or a Mario Tennis, or this is kind of another sequential Mario adjacent video game where you take a whole bunch of people together and it's a party game.
They're fun, stupid little party games. Yeah.
30 or 40 different like 3D and 2D sports games, a whole bunch of new stuff, themed for Tokyo 2020 Olympics, and it's Mario and Sonic. I still love the fact that in this year, 2019, we get to say the name of a video game that starts with Mario and Sonic. If you asked me in 1993, you think Mario and Sonic are going to have a video game together? I would have said, fuck you. Except for I wouldn't have, because I was a little kid. And I said, that's dumb.
So here's the thing about the Olympics. I need to remember what year it was. Okay. The Summer Games were held in Tokyo also in 1964. So there are different modes you can play on this game. You can play the 2020 Olympics with some things, and it looks all like you'd expect, new and shiny and stuff like that. But if you go to Tokyo 1964 mode, everything becomes 8-bit and looks like Excitebike and like the old Nintendo-style games.
That's pretty tight, actually.
It's actually really entertaining because of that. And I just wanted to point that out. It's a nice little twist, and I'm a big fan of that there.
Cool. Also out this week, Black Sad Under the Skin comes out for PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Mac. We got to bring up Mac games.
I saw this at PAX. It actually looks kind of cool, despite it being a game for furries.
Yeah. This is a game where there's a corruption scandal in the heart of New York City's underworld, and you're playing as Detective John Blacksad, and you're out there solving mysteries, and it's an adventure game. Oh, and by the way, you're a cat.
Yeah.
And most people are animals. And you wear a trench coat, and yeah, anyway.
So this actually reminds me of... I played this at PAX. It reminded me a little bit like a demaked version of LA Noire, believe it or not, because it's definitely going for like those...
It's got that kind of very noir, very gritty, but with like cat people.
Yeah.
Also out this week, Conception Plus, Maidens of the 12 Stars. This is another anime JRPG, which I know I've kind of scorned and shit on in the past. But instead of doing what I normally do, where I just make fun of this video game, I'm going to read to you verbatim this little tagline.
Why should you make fun of it when it can make fun of itself?
Itsugi Yuge is suddenly summoned to the magical world of Grainvania to save it from evil impurities. Impurities is capitalized. To return to his own world, he must save this one with the help of his star children, born between him and the 12 Star Maidens.
Yeah,
so
it's exactly
is it just me, or does that sound like you fuck 12 chicks and then you have kids and then you use your kids to save a mystical world?
I mean, what's the game called, bro?
Are you Tommy in Frumpyland from Rick and Morty, who's just like fucking villagers so that you can make people to eat?
The game is literally called Conception. It delivers exactly what it promises.
God damn, I don't even know what the fuck video games are anymore. Also coming out this week, Red Dead Redemption 2 hits PC. This seems like a big deal. I have absolutely...
I was expecting more to that.
I have zero intention of buying this game again. Don't get me wrong. I actually really enjoyed Red Dead Redemption 2, but not playing the game as intended. I use this game as my Zen game. I fish, I hunt, I bullshit, I dick around. I have not gotten even close to finishing the storyline, and I have no intention of, because it's a game with a number 2 that's a prequel. I don't care because I know what everybody... I have... No joke. I have zero incentive to play this video game because I've played Red Dead Redemption, just the first one, and I played that game to completion. I played the shit out of it. I loved that game. I don't need to go back in time because I know what happens to this gang. I know what happens to every single character, including, the guy that's not that big a deal in this specific game, who's the main character of the next one.
Okay. This falls into the category of if I ever see it for super, super cheap, I'll buy it just for the convenience of having it on PC, because I'm just on my PC.
It'll probably be rad in 3 years when it's got a shit ton of mods.
Yeah. But yeah, I have no intention of buying this either.
Lord of the Rings adventure card game comes out on Switch. This has been out for a while on other formats. This is just the first time it's coming to Switch. This is, much like the name suggests, it's a online video game-based TCG, but set in Lord of the Rings. It's... You build a deck of heroes, you challenge Sauron, you travel to different locations. There's story quests in this card game. It's a card game. on Lord of the Rings. I don't know. Card games are still hip. Lord of the Rings is still hip. This just seems ill-timed. Wizards of Brandel comes out on Xbox One and PC. This is a RPG sim adventure game. Potentially this game is good, but this is definitely a mobile port, and I don't take mobile games seriously, especially when they're ported to other things.
All right.
So I
move on then.
It might be great. Have fun. Year of Rain hits PC this week. This is an RTS co-op game. It's
saw this at PAX too.
team-based
Looked interesting.
real-time strategy. So you actually choose your faction, you team up with a friend, and you take control of a legendary hero to kind of lead your RTS-based army. So it's an interesting twist on the RTS genre, which I've always said we need way more of, and this one is kind of cool because it's co-op based. Head Snatchers comes out for Switch this week and PC. This is a kind of casual indie action multiplayer sport game. It's like a 4-player local or online party game. Okay, please tell me you remember the name of the game I'm about to describe to you.
Okay.
Because everything I saw of this game reminded me of a game that came out on either Xbox or Xbox 360 that had 4-player local and had all these different challenges that kind of remind Fusion Frenzy. 100%. This game looks like a new Fusion Frenzy. I was going to say it's like Mario Party, but slightly more realistic, and it was on Xbox. This game looks like a new Fusion Frenzy, which, to be fair, was a fucking awesome video game.
Can I take a moment aside to say that I nailed that with the barest minimum of description?
That's why I started describing it to you. I knew you'd get it. I was literally just like forgetting the title, but I know that game front to back. I just couldn't think of the name. Stay Cool Kobayashi-san, a River City Ransom story, comes out for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This is a side-scrolling beat-em-up set in the River City Ransom universe.
So
you don't know,
weird that we're going back to that
game.
So weird that we're going back to that universe, by the way. Just lately, it's been really hot.
Keep in mind, this is a time-traveling beat-em-up set in the Kunio-kun universe. So think River City Ransom, but add some time traveling. It's got an open-ended fighting system, a bunch of different endings based on choices. It's a time-traveling River City game that's got a funny name. Tokyo Dark Remembrance comes out for Switch. This is a point-and-click adventure game. The gameplay is described as exploration, discovery, and puzzle-solving found in point-and-click adventures, marred with the narrative depth and intrigue of visual novels. I'll give you that. Need for Speed Heat hits PS4, Xbox One, and PC. This is the first Need for Speed game I've been interested in probably the last 6 years. It's got the daytime races, and then you can go out at night, and everything's a bit more high intensity because at night you have to worry about getting caught by the cops. So you basically, the longer you play at night, the more risky it is. And when you just finally decide to head in, that's when you bank all of your points in cash for the night. So all of your money is kind of potentially lost still when you're racing at night, and then the daytime you're doing traditional races. Now, while I'm vaguely excited in it that the gameplay looks great and this looks like a mid-2000s throwback Need for Speed game, I do not trust EA as far as I can throw them. So I am 100% rating for all reviews, for all the leaks, for all the information I can get, because as you know, it's a goddamn EA game, so everything I've seen on it has nothing and no mention of any fucking microtransactions, any DLC, any loot boxes, any of that, because you know none of it's in the game yet.
Also, I get the distinct feeling this shit's being sent out to die. Because I didn't even know this. Like, I tend to... I don't do Need for Speed games or racing games, but at least I've heard of them.
If you don't pay attention to racing games, I could see missing Need for Speed.
Yeah,
I feel like I know a lot of people that this game is on their radar, but we're all kind of in the none of us trust EA at this point to make this game actually good. And hey, Salty Frank, thanks for showing up. Surprisingly, we're actually still on, but I've only got a little bit of new releases left, so sorry about that. Also out this week, Jumanji the video game hits PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This is a 100% a video game movie tie-in set in the action-packed world of Jumanji.
Now, wasn't this fucking movie like a year and a half ago?
There is a sequel to this movie coming out in the next month or two.
No shit.
Still got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in it. Still got Kevin Hart. Still got all the kids that are in the first one. Still got Jack Black.
I honestly didn't think that this did well enough to warrant a sequel, but I guess it did.
Okay, so whatever you want to say about Jumanji is fine, but The Rock and Kevin Hart together are actually pretty fucking hilarious, in my opinion, and Jack Black is a delight. So as stupid as that movie was, I really liked Jumanji. It's pure, dumb, idiotic popcorn humor to the highest degree, but I was like, man, this is a great thing to watch while I'm drunk.
It looks like they're actually trying to tie it with the original film because BB Newworth is back in it as a character from the first film.
Well, and keep in mind, so I don't know if you ever watched Jumanji, the new release.
No.
It is 100% a sequel to the original.
No shit. I thought it was just a reboot.
Nope, fuck you. It is 100% a sequel to the original.
Okay, fuck me.
Robin Williams' character is mentioned by name in that goddamn movie.
Huh. So this is the world he was stuck in.
This is 100% the world. We are seeing the Jumanji world from the actual Jumanji side, not Jumanji getting pulled out into the real world.
Interesting. Okay.
And thanks, Salty Frank. Jack Black on top of The Rock and Kevin Hart is like sprinkles on your favorite ice cream. And I fucking love sprinkles.
Okay.
I really do. Golem hits PSVR this week. This is a debut game from the independent studio Highwire Games. Now,
this thing was teased when the PlayStation VR first was revealed.
I'm going to talk about a little bit about what this game's about, but I want to talk a little bit more about the people behind it because I feel like that's the more important part of this discussion. So this is you're playing as an adventurous kid who's been injured. You're stuck at home in your bed. You're dreaming about going outside, and you start developing the power to create and control little golems, and you actually control the golem. So you see through their eyes, you direct their movements, and you use them to kind of explore the confines of your room and beyond. So it's an interesting concept. But Highwire was founded a few years ago. This is the first game, and it's made by former Bungie employees Martin O'Donnell, Jamie Grismere, Jared Noftel's in it, who was in Airtight Games, Vic DeLon, who was from Bungie, like a 343 guys was in here.
It's a bunch of the old Halo team. Most importantly, Martin O'Donnell. Yeah, a.k.a. Marty O'Donnell, the guy that did the music to fucking Halo.
Halo guys, 343 guys, Valve guys. There's some serious talent on this team. So if you've got a PSVR, it might be something to look out for.
I just remember seeing a trailer for this game years and years ago.
This is something we've been waiting for a long time. Stormwind EX comes out on Xbox One and Switch. This is a very much traditional style, old school arcade shoot 'em up. Side scrolling, if you move, shoot it. Gradius, Raiden, Einhander, fucking whatever.
God, you want to talk about a game we need another one of? Is fucking Einhander. Actually, I'll even go deeper cut. We need another Philosoma. And I don't mean it's weird survival horror spin-off that was released in Japan only. I mean an actual proper Philosoma too.
I mean, I'm going to just stick with Einhander because I've played that game. But anyway. Disney Tsum Tsum Festival comes out for Switch. I'm assuming I'm saying Tsum Tsum right, but I could not be.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Now, what's difficult is in the description of this is it's various Disney and Pixar characters rendered in Tsum Tsum form. But if you have no idea what the fuck Tsum Tsum is, that doesn't really paint you a picture. But it's
like a sausage roll that looks like a Disney character.
I say cartoony bug-like.
Okay.
Like take Mickey Mouse and then squish him and then make him a roly-poly, and that's him. That's him in Tsum Tsum form.
Yeah, they're little stuffed sausage rolls.
Yeah, basically. It's basically a mini game style video game. So it's got single player, a bunch of multiplayer games, competitive, cooperative, 4 players online or local. It's got curling. It's got air hockey. It's got Layton's Mystery Journey, Catriel Millionaire's Conspiracy hits Switch this week. This is actually a deluxe edition of both Layton's Mystery Journal and Catriel and the Millionaire's Conspiracy. So it's got new puzzles, 40 brand new puzzles, a bunch of different stuff from the 3DS version, all the DLCs in it. It's that Layton game.
It is more Professor Layton, just with Layton's daughter, or I believe it's his daughter.
Some people
absolutely you love those puzzle games, you're going to get into this.
And then new Super Lucky's Tales comes out for Switch. This is a 3D platformer adventure game. This is a remaster, remake, whatever the fuck you want to call it, of Super Lucky's Tales, which came out a long time ago. This one actually has all new levels, story, cinematics, character dialogue, extra refined movement, player controls, a rotatable 3 camera because sometimes when you make games that didn't have the best camera, you fix that part. And upgrades to almost every other part of the game. New art, new lighting, UI, sound, music. It's a complete remaster of Super Lucky's Tales, which was a kind of love letter to the mid to late 90s 3D action platformers. And finally, this week,
the big one,
the world's first, best, and worst reviewed social strand game. Death Stranding comes out on PS4. Now, PC, I don't think is coming out for another 6 months. This is obviously Hideo Kojima's magnum opus, as it were, because it seems like he's moving on to movies. We know way too much about this game and still not nearly enough. You play as a glorified UPS delivery man who's played by Norman Reedus. This is every goddamn famous person that Kojima could find the phone number to in it.
Not even just famous people, but at this point, I feel personally offended that we're not in this goddamn game.
Everybody is here, dude. This is the Super Smash Brothers of 3D action adventure games. He tried to take a step back from the combat, but I feel like it's still running on Guerrilla's engine, so it's got some amount of combat in it, but it's about social strand. The interesting parts are you're taking packages to people. You're trying to bring the world back together in a very broken America. I don't know, man. I'm going to play it. We'll let you know what we think about it next week. But
we're definitely going to be leading the show next week with our impressions of Death Stranding. Me a couple hours into it. David hopefully more than just 30 minutes when he gets back on Sunday to play it.
And we'll see. We will see.
So here's the thing, David. I'm actually excited to play Death Stranding. But any hype that I've had about this game was
it's been completely destroyed
6 months ago.
By everything. Yeah. The more I learned about this game, the less when I just had the original fucking weird ass teaser trailer of Norman Reedus and the baby and the floating shit, I was 100% in.
And you know what?
I'm going to play this fucking game. If it was still just that, if we still had just teasers and weird cryptic bullshit and like AR online community-driven mystery games, I would be so fucking hyped. But Kojima, as much as I love the guy, can't keep his goddamn fucking mouth shut and keeps talking about this video game, keeps releasing trailers for this video game, and now that we have the reviews, we still don't know what we're going to get.
I think I'm actually grateful for that being the case, because my expectations has been cut down so much for this game because of all that shit.
That if it's even passable, you'll be hype?
I think so. I think this might be a good thing upon retrospect. But we'll definitely see come Friday, maybe even Thursday night. If we get it early, I might even start streaming it then. Something to look forward to. Last topic, last comment before we wrap shows up. Epileptic Fish in chat says, seems like a sick game for the ketamine heads. Yeah.
You know what? That's actually a good point. I might have to play this.
Good way of saying it.
I may have to play this game and get an idea of what I think about it, but then I might have to play this game again under the influence of substances and see what I think about this
Definitely want to play it drunk at least. David, that does it for new releases, which also means we have hit the end of the show. This has been GamePoints episode 197. Thank you all for showing up there. Salty Frank, Epileptic Fish, and to everyone else who happens to be lurking around in chat. I do see you in there. And if you want to join us live next time, you can do so every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. If you can't join us live, however, you can also do so later over at youtube.com/GamePointsPC, where you will be able to watch the old shows. If you like what you saw here and you want to support the show, you know what streamers want. Follows, bits, subscriptions, shares, likes, especially if you're sitting on that Amazon and Twitch Prime subscription. You can also join our Discord. The link is provided down below to reach out to other members of the community and keep up with announcements. You can also follow the show at Twitter on GamePoint at GamePointsPC. You can follow David there at Past Life Story. And you can follow myself, Stephen Brown, over at CapitalistBig21. Once again, thank you all for showing up. This has been GamePoints episode 197. And until tomorrow, we're out of here.